into how and why you started the Own Your Story movement in TandemED. Talk about that for me a little bit as well.
Yeah, so while I was in Grove Hall, I decided to stay there, and I moved there, and I took up 2 roles right in that same neighborhood. I was a middle school math teacher. At the time it was called New Boston Pilot Middle School. I was there, and after a couple of years, I actually moved into basically being a principal of a school within the school. So I had about 200 students I was leading in that school.
Right.
Then not too far from that, I was also going into ministry in the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
It's historic Charles Street AME Church.
Yeah.
So I was leading the education program there, and then eventually went and started leading the youth ministry program.
Okay.
So I was living there. I was an educator. I was a minister, and I was just getting this full 360 experience, and I was intersecting with some of the young people with in 3 different ways, as a neighbor, as an educator, and a minister, all 3. I think because of that and other things I was seeing, it just made me say, look, we have to be intentional about saying that we are going to be the leaders of our own spaces, our own education, and our education doesn't just come from these institutions that have been set up.
Come on, that's good.
Our education comes from us.
Absolutely.
When you sit down with your grandma, you are in class.
Yeah.
When you walking by in the neighborhood and somebody spit game to you, you're being taught.
All that stuff.
Yeah. So why don't we validate, highlight, and elevate that as our education?
Right.
And so Own Your Story is about saying we're going to elevate and acknowledge the teaching and learning that's happening already. And we're going to make intentional steps to facilitate a process to pull in those elements and really standardize it in a way.
Okay.
And so that's the whole Own Your Story thing. We're trying to take what's there and also make sure we solidify it.
I love it.
This is what the school is. The community is the classroom.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.